Welcome back. We are now going to have a panel discussion, 25 minutes. Of course, with Mr. Oliver Stone, our first panelist. My colleague, Mrs. Penkova, already introduced him. We are very happy to have him here and to have him on this panel, and once again, very welcome. The other panelist, first is Mr. Franz Bogovic. Mr. Bogovic is a member... How are you, sir? Member of the European Parliament from Slovenia. He is a member of the EPP group. For 13 years, Mr. Bogovic was a mayor of the town Krško, which has a large nuclear power plant. And as an MEP, he was the rapporteur on the small modular reactors report, so the first report supporting the nuclear energy that was adopted here in the European Parliament during this mandate, and that is a massive achievement. The other panelist is Jan Panek, also very welcome. Mr. Panek has been the director for nuclear energy in the European Commission's DG Energy since 2021. Previously, he served in various head of unit position in DG Energy. Mr. Panek joined the European Commission after a career in a diplomatic service of the Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where he occupied positions in the Ministry of Prague, as well in Czech diplomatic missions in Tokyo and in Brussels. Gentlemen, very welcome. I'm very happy to have you here. My message to the panelists is let's have a lively discussion with each other. Feel free to interject if you have something to add, and let's try to have brief answers. Let's start with the first question. When I was elected as an MEP, it was in 2019, I immediately started advocating for nuclear energy. At the time, even pro-nuclear lobbyists were rather hopeless. But now things have changed, and interest in nuclear energy in Europe is returning. My question to you all is what recent developments have sparked this change? To stimulate lively discussions, let's have brief answers, and I want to give you first the floor, Mr. Bogovic.
Yeah. Thank you, and good afternoon to everybody. Thanks to come here. Thanks to this great movie. And what changed? I was elected for the mayor in 1998, elected here for the member of parliament in 2014. All the time I advocate for nuclear energy. I participated also in the years 2002, 3, 4 at Germans meetings of mayors of nuclear cities when Germany decided to close these nuclear power plants. And since that, I recognize that ideology closed nuclear power plants, not facts, not figures. And I think that in the last time we recognized on the base of this tragic war that we need energy, and there is no chance to have enough energy and have the energy all the time at an affordable price without nuclear energy. And that I think that the realistic approach is coming back here in the European Union, in European Parliament, and that's for me the main reason why we are speaking again about nuclear power plant here in the European Parliament.
Thank you. Mr. Panek, what is your position on that, and especially from the Commission? We have seen, I had a lot of discussion with the Commission last year, especially with Mr. Timmermans and his Chief of Staff, Mr. Simpson. Do you see also this change in the Commission?
I think, well, first of all, good afternoon, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here on the panel, and it's also a pleasure to have the opportunity to see the movie. Well, I think I would repeat what the Parliament said. I think the Commission is on the same side. I think the two key factors are the security of supply challenge that came with the Russian aggression against Ukraine. That was mentioned by Mr. Bogovic. That raises all issues about how far are we ready to rely on energy sources that come from unreliable suppliers. The other point is something that is picked up very well throughout the movie, and those of you who have seen it will hopefully agree with me, and that's the urgency of climate change and the fact that we are still not doing enough. I think the Commission has been quite clear. on this point, also in the latest communication on the 2040 targets, that we need to do more and that we need to enlist in the fight with climate change all the low carbon sources that we have. Clearly, renewables have been the focal point, but the complementary role that nuclear can play is also needs to be recognized, with full recognition that every member state is free to decide on the composition of its energy mix, but it is clear that we need all available low carbon sources to address climate change. And the fact that we are still not in control of the global warming process and in control of the CO2 emissions, at least globally, is a clear, let's say, call for arms.
Mr. Stone, you already said in your reaction that renewables are not efficient. The carbon, let's say, fossil fuel is not going down. Now we see this interest for nuclear energy coming up. How do you see? I'm from the 60s. Is this something from my generation? I know from when I was young the fear of nuclear energy. That was always the threat every day. Do you see a difference within generations?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Amazing. When I was I went to Russia, I went to France, I went to America's Idaho experimental laboratory. It's amazing the amount of young people that are working in these labs and handling nuclear energy material and enthusiastic about it. They're a new generation. They don't have the old fears. The Cold War for them is something. And, you know, even a war, I mean, this is more important than a war. This is bigger. One war, two wars, you know, we're going to have wars. People fight. We got to get away from that. I mean, nuclear energy is so powerful that even one country by itself can do a lot. And, you know, I call later in the film for a United Nations of energy. That's what ideally Russia, China, and the United States would be partners. But I realize it's an idealistic call. So it doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean that China by itself, China and Russia, if necessary, in partnership, and the United States separately can do something. Russia is doing something. China is doing something. The United States finally is moving very slowly. But as you know, we're a capitalist system. So we don't have a Rosatom. We don't have a Chinese agency. We don't have an EDF as in France. We don't have that organization. So America puts it up for auction. And what we're doing now, we're not building big. We can't build big. We don't know how to build big anymore. We build in China. They expend the coal. We bring the parts over and we install the Oakland Bay Bridge. But the truth is, we have to. America is now exploring the SMRs, which are small modular reactors. Well, that's okay. Let's go there. Let's do it. So they have 70 companies spending their own capital, exploring every possible kind of SMR you ever see. It's all good because it all leads to knowledge. It all leads to more experimentation. But we never standardized. So you hope for what Korea and Japan did, and France did, and Russia did, for the most part, and China finally got standardized. That's why they have the Hualong and the big one. So standardized makes it faster. You can print it out faster, get more made. That's what we need now. We need that. So the United States is a laggard here, no question. They should be a leader, but they're a laggard. And that's the way it is. Accept it. The more we get closer to the difficulty of life, the more necessity is the mother of invention. Someone's going to wake up in the United States and say, we got to spend some real money here. The kind of money we're spending on this war, we're going to have to spend on building nuclear reactors. That's what I think is going to happen. And when people say the cost of nuclear, come on, what's the cost of climate change is far worse than the cost of a nuclear reactor.
Mr. Panek, no, I'm going to Mr. Bogovic, because Mr. Stone was talking about the small modular reactors. standardization, an Airbus for nuclear energy, something in Europe. How do you look at that? You are as a rapporteur on this SMR report.
Yes, I'm very proud that my initiative report was accepted in the ITRE committee, and that at the end we got two-thirds support among colleagues in the European Parliament. It's not easy to get two-thirds support for nuclear energy. And we speak about that we need extension of operating of existing nuclear plants, build new big nuclear power plants, and that we also have a lot of opportunities with small modular reactors. This what was said, that we have common processes for licensing, for production, that we have standardization. These are some advantages which we need, and what is also possible that we put together European industry to have, as we call, SMR Airbus or nuclear Airbus or something like this, that in many countries this works because we need a lot of people, a lot of skilled people. And I fully support, and I think that we need to decarbonize our society, that it means to transition towards low carbon society. It means also decarbonization of district heating, decarbonization of industry processes, production of hydrogen, mobility, and there are many solutions also among European companies, together with colleagues from other USA, Great Britain. They work on these solutions in which we can, I don't know, replace, for example, 300-400 megawatts big coal thermal power plant in Poland. There are 35, there are colleagues from Poland, many these district heatings which are connected with industry, and these are these opportunities. So I think that it's possible to reach in 10 years approximately. Industry promised this. And for me, I think that it's very important that we made this political breakthrough in the European Union, in the European Parliament, together with the Commission. But now it's necessary to organize industry and to work on these topics, that we will increase the production of low-carbon electricity like we saw in this movie.
Mr. Panek, you're from the Commission. Do you see a possibility to do this for the next mandate, to make this a goal, an Airbus for nuclear energy and standardization of these small modular reactors?
Well, I think it would not be fair to comment on the next Commission. I should not hypothecate our next leadership. I'm sure you would not like me to ask you what will be the position of the next Parliament on whatever issue. So, no, but I think you are right. You are absolutely right. We have launched, also thanks to the political support from the Parliament, but also a clear momentum amongst a group of member states. We have launched earlier this year in February, together with the industry, the SMR Industrial Alliance. And its objective is, as also Mr. Bogovic has said, to ensure that by the early 2030s, we have the first operating SMR projects in Europe. So clearly, if this needs to be achieved, it will require, sustained effort between now and 2030, both on the policymaker side and on the industry side. Now, whether this requires standardization or whether standardization is the silver bullet to achieve that, I would not go that far. It may help. There are other preconditions that would need to be met. For example, a clear streamlining or acceleration of the licensing procedures, so that the projects with the same design do not have to always restart from scratch for each of the projects, but also a clear collaboration between the providers in the supply chain, so that we actually have a full supply chain in Europe available for the manufacturing of these technologies across Europe, so that we can have the projects in different locations. So all that are actually daunting challenges, if you want, and surely the next Commission will need to work on them as this one has.
Thank you so much. Then a special question for you, Mr. Stone. You said fear is a mind killer, and Hollywood is not really a big fan of nuclear energy. We saw all these movies, all these comic books with all these horrible creatures created by a mistake in nuclear energy. You decided to make this movie. How is Hollywood looking at you now? Can you convince them?
Hollywood, I can't. Hollywood has its own mindset. They're very independent people. Most people, you know, they tend to flock together like geese. They fly together and they believe the same thing. I've always feel that I owe myself an independent thinking. I think for myself, politics and everything. I'm neither left nor right. I just want to save the world and as best as we can. I think we have to clean up this mess. You're stuck in politics. I'm not. European Union, my God, it takes forever to do something, you know.
I agree.
I like to see, I like movies, I like action. But I wish we could do more and agree. We'll argue till the end of time, but that argument's not going to get us anywhere.
No, I agree. But we as politicians, we also want to save the world. We have that in common.
Yeah.
And we do
Well,
our
then
best.
what are you going to do about these green parties in Europe? I mean, is Germany even close to logical? Have they reached, what's wrong with Germany?
Yeah. That's a very good question. Shutting down 17 perfectly working nuclear power plants is well, the dumbest thing you can do if you want to have clean and reliable energy, because we are talking about air pollution, or not talking about air pollution, but this is really a thing. I think this is really killing people. This is also in your documentary. One small question. The Swedish government has replaced the targets for renewables to requirements for low carbon energy solutions. Is that something that we should do that also on the European level? And I'm looking to the next mandate. Mr. Panek, maybe you can react first on that question.
You will not stop testing me on the next mandate of the Commission. We will see.
Keep do that.
Yeah. No, but I think you are raising an important point. There has been a policy change in a number of member states. Sweden is one of those. That came through democratic process in the elections. We have elections coming up in the European Parliament in 2 months or 3 months from now. So we will have to see how that actually changes the cards. What I want to say in reference to the movie, because of course, you know, the movie is clearly an advocacy for nuclear. The Commission is technology neutral. But what I want to definitely highlight, what struck me, is that Mr. Stone, you showed in the movie that you were ready to question your own sentiments and stereotypes and move on and recognize that positions you held earlier may have not been the ones that you have now. And I think that takes courage. And I think it's good to see that from a world-known movie maker to make that personal testimony. And I think it's fitting, the fact that we are facing an urgency of climate change, as I said earlier, that indeed asks all of us to question our traditional views, our stereotypes, and go beyond perhaps what we may fear or what we may have considered as ingrained in us. And you know, the election process, the democratic process of electing parliaments and governments in both the US and Europe is a fantastic vehicle to do that. It is a process where people can actually question the stereotypes and change the narrative and the prevailing views in the society. So I think in that sense we will have to see what the June elections bring us. But let's hope that they will bring a result that will also come out of everybody's self-reflection and readiness to step out of the comfort zone and think what is really needed now in the current context.
It is and it isn't. I mean, democracy authoritarian governments can get things done. And that's what needs to be done. We need to move. So it needs strong people to get. Tom doesn't ask the Russian housewives, but do you want a nuclear reactor in your backyard? No, that's not a question. Democracy asks that question, and that's a problem because we're miseducated. The problem is education, and where do you? It takes too long. You're taking too long, and it's not going to work. But hopefully, you're in better shape than Africa, Latin America, the Far East, Near East, Middle East. Gosh, we need to educate those people quickly. And they have to move and democracy is not going to get there in time.
I agree that some things in democracy are going a little bit slower, but still I'm happy to live in a democracy. But can I give the floor for very short on the former question to Frans?
Very short on this question. If we want to tackle climate changes, it doesn't depend if you have a lot of low carbon energy. It depends if we will have renewable energy. It depends if we will have enough low carbon energy. And first thing what is necessary to do after this election is to change this goal, the end use of renewable. This must be the end use of low carbon and combination with footprint per how many CO2 per kilowatt hour. We have crazy situation. If you compare Germany and France, 10 times lower CO2 footprints in France electricity system, but they have lower percentage of renewable, and the European Commission asked them why they don't have enough renewable, but they don't recognize that there is the low carbon and CO2 emissions are very slow. In this case, in my country, in Slovenia, we cannot build a new nuclear power plant because we will not reach the goal of renewable if we build additional nuclear power plant. So this is crazy and we must change this. And me as somebody who is campaign, I can say openly this, I will repeat many times before 9th of June.
I fully agree. We have to solve this problem. We need more energy, not less energy. The more energy we have, the more prosperity we have. We are running out of time. Mr. Stone, I have one last question for you. What are your reactions on the documentary so far? And do you have a specific message to the members of the European Parliament regarding nuclear energy?
Listen, we had different getting this accepted. There was no distributor in the United States. We self-distributed this film, and it made an impact. Many people saw it. We have it on platforms. Every country, we did the same thing. We repeated. It was laborious. I went to several countries. Because of there is still, in many people's minds, a sinister connotation of the word nuclear. Again, this confusion with the bomb. So it is an uphill battle, but we're out there. At first, we went to, Davos is supposed to be all these brilliant people thinking about the future, right? So we went to Davos, and we found that nuclear was not even on the agenda. And they're talking about the future? Who are they kidding? Then finally, a year later, we go to COPA, and they finally got nuclear on the agenda. We got to get to reality here. This is not even close to reality. And I want to just close with a note that there's such possibility with nuclear. We haven't even reached, as I said earlier, what came out of the earth is a gift from the gods. It's Prometheus gave it. It's Prometheus. And we have to use it, but we have to explore it. What they're doing in the labs that I went to, especially in Idaho, they're exploring what nuclear can do in combinations with so many things. Obviously, with hydrogen, it's unbelievable the uses it can be put to. We can be using nuclear fuels, synthetic fuels, agriculture, my God, ammonia. Nuclear could solve so many problems if it's we allow it to grow. When the mind of man is really unbelievable to me, and I think that's where we have to go here. We have to go here. We can't go to it's up here that somebody's going to make something, a device that's going to turn on the world like an Apple phone did. Somebody's going to make a nuclear device that works so beautifully, so sleek and beautiful, like, some highly designed Apple product, and that will excite everybody, and then all of a sudden there'll be a surge in nuclear. That's the way the world kind of works. It's kind of comical, but the truth is, I'm praying for a breakthrough of, but I believe it will happen because I believe in people, and there's too many bright minds out there.
Thank you so much.